recording is starting right now. And then I will go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. All right, are you guys seeing that all right?
Yes.
Perfect. Let me backtrack. All right. So today's webinar is all about goal setting for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. At every single Giv.care webinar, we do like to make you guys aware of our HIPAA compliance. We welcome people raising their hands, asking questions, sharing examples of how the things we're discussing applies to their lives. But while we do have those discussions, we just ask that you do not use your client's name or any medical diagnostic information about them. You're more than their full name and diagnosis together to protect their privacy. And so you can read this HIPAA compliance at any time, but we just want to make you aware that we want to protect our clients' privacy as much as possible. Today we will be discussing identifying meaningful goals, how to break down big goals into small goals, examples of scaffolding a goal, pairing goals with hobbies and interests, Giv.care's ability to track and manage those goals, the importance of caregiver notes for goal progress, and then Giv.care's ability to work with families and support coordinators on new goals for PCSPs. So the first step in goals for individuals with disabilities is identifying meaningful goals. So there's several things that you can look at, like what is their current skill level, what scaffolding can be implemented, what small goals can happen along the way to the big goal. Will this goal improve your quality of life, or is it improving their quality of life? And is this goal necessary for independence? So when you're thinking of making new goals, these are great things to keep in mind when you're trying to decide what you need to work on next. There are many steps that are involved in scaffolding a goal, and scaffolding just helps break down one large goal into smaller pieces, and it helps to identify if the goal is an appropriate thing for them to work on. And then you can kind of assign a timeline to each step of the scaffolding goal. So when you're making a goal for the entire year, you could say, by December, I hope that Susie can walk to the park independently and do whatever she wants at the park for 20 minutes and then come home, or whatever that might be. And so then it's like, well, how can we break down that goal into smaller pieces? And by March, maybe Susie can get ready by herself. And maybe by April, she's walking to the park on her own, or whatever those things might be. So breaking it down into smaller steps and assigning a timeline is a great way to be able to scaffold the goal in an appropriate manner. Another great way to have the client be engaged in participating in a goal is aligning the goal with hobbies that they're already interested in. This can be a great way to increase their participation and buy-in when working toward the goal. And then it's also a great way to help mask that you're actually working on a goal. I have a daughter who has cerebral palsy, so she has both physical and intellectual disabilities. And so if you have a child with cerebral palsy, you know the early years are a lot of physical therapy. And my daughter personally hates working on physical therapy goals. And so we've learned to mask it with, like, can we play a board game while we're standing at the table? Can we play with this camera that we have while we're practicing standing? Or like, what things can we add to standing or walking or whatever it is, to make it more enjoyable, like chasing her brother down the sidewalk while she's in her walker or something. Making it as enjoyable as possible is just a great way to get them to have that buy-in to want to work on it, or at least mask it so they don't really realize that they're working on the goal. In our Giv.care mobile apps, we have two sections that allow the caregivers and the PICs or person in charge to be able to track and manage these goals. So if you have seen our new recent app update, when you are in the caregiver app, you are able to see the goals of the client. I should have updated these slides, but I can demo that for you after we go through these slides if you'd like to see that. But in the blue caregiver app, when you go to write your notes and things, you should be able to see the client's goals in the app right on your screen now. And then for the PIC, when you are in the pink mobile app and you're scheduling a shift, there is a goals and activities section. And so if you already have planned how you want your goals scaffold, so say it's January and you're wanting to get ready for the park independently, you can say for the goal and activity, Susie getting ready independently. And so you can name the activity of like getting dressed, and then you can describe the activity in this note section with have Susie work on putting her shoes on, have Susie work on getting her jacket on independently, and you can list out the steps of the goal. So then when the caregiver logs into into their app, they can see what goals and activities you have planned for the day. And it also pulls up their goals directly from the PCSP, I believe, so that they know what the overall goals of the client are, so that they can keep that in mind when they're working with the client throughout their shift. Does anyone have questions about that right now while we're talking about this topic? Switch over to make sure no one's raising their hand. No? Okay, I'll keep going. So the next thing is why the notes are so important in the app. Again, you guys might have noticed that the notes section in our mobile app has changed a little bit, and that is to support the goals of the client and to make sure that they're still able to have the exact budget that they have. So the notes section lets us know what's happening for every single shift. Every single quarter, we have to write a quarterly summary to the support coordinators and to Medicaid saying how Giv.care is helping the clients reach their goals. If you guys are not writing notes well, or you're not filling out that section completely, we cannot justify the continuation of services for the client because we do not know what is happening on those shifts. So you might notice when you log into your notes section now that there are specific questions that need to be answered so that we know what's happening on these shifts. And there is a character minimum, meaning you won't be able to submit those shift notes until you've written at least 50 characters in each of those boxes. And the box will highlight green when you hit that character limit that we need you to do. And so that just helps us to be able to say, yes, these caregivers are supporting Susie in her goals, and these are all the things that they've worked on in the last quarter. And because of that, we believe it's appropriate for Susie to keep working with Giv.care to continue reaching goals. And so filling out that note section isn't us trying to add one more thing to your to-do list of things to do. We know that as caregivers, the work you do is so important. But it's really just, it's to help the client at the end of the day to be able to keep the budget and services that they have in place and to tell Medicaid, like, this is working for them and for the family, and this is why we need to keep doing it. And so that is why the notes are very important for the client. Giv.care is happy to meet with guardians and support coordinators at any time to help rework goals and to be more targeted toward the client. We do this annually at PCSP meetings, but we are more than happy to meet outside of those times if something comes up or the needs of the client changes or they have a change in their ability. Yes, do we have a question? Let me pull up some questions that we have. What if the client is severely disabled and needs 100% assistance and it isn't realistic to set goals? I might I might pass that question off to Cassie. I think immediately, like, my gut instincts would be, are there goals that you can set as the caregiver that make caring for that client easier? Like, are there different things? I guess I'm not sure, but I would maybe ask Cassie and see if she has ideas of how that could be applicable for people in those situations.
Yeah, Paige, I can answer that. Thanks. So what I would say is there is probably a goal that's set in the PCSP for all clients, and it could be just the client remains healthy and happy, or the client remains living and in the home. So things to support that would be, meeting all their ADLs every day. So like, you're helping with medication, you're helping bathe the client, feed the client, get the client dressed, maybe change their brief. Maybe you're just watching and monitoring them so that, if they have a seizure, you're there. So that is all supporting the end goal of them just living in the home, being happy and healthy. So it doesn't need to be anything like extreme. Like, that client clearly isn't going to learn to, oh, Hillary, thank you. I'll stop talking now if you understand. If you have more questions, just let me know.
Yeah, that is a perfect way to explain that. I'm glad that Cassie was able to take that one because that one left me a deer in headlights. But yeah, I think that is definitely appropriate. Like if the end goal is for the client to stay in their home, then that is the goal that's being met. They're not going to live anywhere else. They're staying at home, and that's reaching the goal that they had set in their PCSP. And then just to finish out our presentation before we take more questions, if you guys have any further questions about app updates or how we can help support you guys, you all should probably know at this point that support at Giv.care is the best way to get in contact with us. And we are just grateful for the trust you have in us to work with your clients. And we are always here to help answer any questions at any time and do whatever we can do to support your clients and your caregiving needs. So at this point, we will open up the floor to questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you guys have questions on anything related to goals, how we can help support you, anything to do with our new app release that was updated yesterday, we're happy to answer or field any of those questions at this time. Or if you want to give us feedback unrelated to any of those topics, we're happy to address that as well. When the new tier plan is implemented, will our budget reflect the amount of hours we receive, or will it be less because we are going through a provider? I will let Cassie answer that one if she has an answer for that.
Yeah, so since the new tiers are not finalized yet and the plan for caregiver comp hasn't been released, we don't know specifically how that's going to look, but we do plan on continuing to work with caregiver comp and taking those. Once those plans are finalized, then we will set a plan within our agency and let everybody know what that's going to look like moving forward. But we do plan on continuing to work with all clients that have caregiver comp.
If anyone else has a question, feel free to use the raise your hand function, or you can put it in the chat and we're happy to answer those as well. Oh, Nicola, did you have a question? I'm going to answer Lance's question in the chat, and then we'll come back to you, Nicola, if you have a question. It says, is the staff required to fill in the notes before they check out, or what happens if the notes are not there? I believe we were discussing this morning that there's a 48-hour window that they have before where they're allowed to fill out those notes. If they're not filled out in that time frame, then I think that there would be no notes recorded for the shift, but I'm not sure. I guess Cassie can answer if it affects the time card at all in that regard.
So yeah, you can clock out from a shift immediately and then say you're getting in the car and driving somewhere. We don't want you taking notes or spending time taking notes at that point. So you can return to it within 48 hours to fill in those notes. So then that will be reflected and then your shift will be completed after that. If you never fill in the notes, the shift will remain in pending and it won't be completed. And so the time won't be clocked in unless you fill in those notes. So you have to complete them within that 48-hour window. But you do have time to do that after the fact. So you can clock out so it reflects the accurate time when you actually left, and then just go back and finish that whenever you have time.
Perfect. Nicola, did you have a question? I think if you just unmute yourself, we should be able to hear you. There should be a little microphone in the bottom left.
Hi.
There you go.
Okay, hear me?
Yep.
I mean, we have problems with the client being very defiant, and I see the scaffold breakdown. How can we get this to work? Because it's been very, how do you say, hard when a client just refuses, and we're doing the same goal, and we're getting nowhere yet. And then, it's like, it's very frustrating. So you try new things, you try games, you try, rewards, you try everything. And if the client doesn't want to do it, just not going to do it. And so what do you do?
Yeah, that is definitely a very hard situation. And my heart goes out to you for that, because I know it can be really hard when children don't comply, especially when they might not even fully understand and things like that. I would say that, because I'm not a behavior expert, I would say maybe discuss with you? Are you guys currently receiving behavior supports as part of your DSPD plan?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
would definitely say to just try to work closely with them in creating those goals, just because we are not behavior experts. But I would say working with your behavior team and seeing what things can continue to change and be implemented, it might be the best option at that point. But it is good to hear that you are getting those services so that you have that support in place.
Thank you.
But if anyone else has advice for her too, feel free to chime in with things that have worked for you in the past. Jenny, did you have something you wanted to ask? Hillary.
I just wanted to say I'm sorry for those people that are handling the behaviors. We're actually dealing with that a lot in our home and at school. But the behavioral specialist has been willing to come in and observe at home and at school and implement behavioral plans that have been helpful.
That's great to hear. We have friends also that are with DSPD that have had that behavior support come into the home and just kind of like put eyes on everything that they're doing and be able to make recommendations. And I do think that that is definitely a great resource if you have access to it to try to do that.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right. Well, then if there aren't any other questions, does anyone from the Giv.care team have anything that they wanted to? Oh, Judith, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Judith. Oh, she doesn't know. Judith, can you hear us? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My English is little speaking Spanish. I translation and would like to ask many questions and participate more be talking by, but I am very attentive you class. Translating still to the English, learning English. I'm sorry. Your class is translation. I'm sorry, no question for moment.
Okay. If you have questions
Pero
at any
class is attentive. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. If you have questions at any time, our Allie, she speaks Spanish and she can talk with you if that is easier or a resource that would help you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. More
Mhm.
learning English. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, don't apologize. That's so great.
Okay. Yeah. Pay attention you now in your class. Thank you.
And Allie did leave her email in the chat for you, so you can copy and paste that and save it if you ever need it. It is my demographic. So Selena asked, why is it so hard to get a behavior specialist? It is my demographic area. Is it my demographic area, Southern Utah? I would say to that, Selena, that I'm not sure because that is a part of DSPD that I don't interact with personally, with both my daughter and through Giv.care. I would say, and maybe this is something you've already tried, so maybe this isn't even helpful, but maybe your support coordinator might be able to connect you with resources in Southern Utah, but I'm just not sure what that looks like or what that process looks like. But if someone else on the call has any advice or they're in Southern Utah and they have a behavior specialist, if they want to share more of what that process looks like, I'm sure that could be a help. Hillary.
Yeah, so you could call the Utah Parent Support Center, and they're a really good resource to help you get connected with behavioral specialists and anything else you have questions about there. But it is hard in the fact that they definitely need more behavioral specialists. If you can find a company, and the wait lists seem to be extremely long too. But what I've done is just get your name on the wait list. Even you have to wait 2 years, at least it'll be available eventually. And try and find a resource now that you can use until you can find a specialist that can work with you.
And I would add to that, Selena, I don't know how old your client is, but if they are still under the age of 21 and able to receive services from the school district, you might be able to get services through the school district that you can then use to help implement behavior in your home. But if your client's over the age of 21, then again, reaching out to Utah Parent Center, like Hillary suggested, and getting on those wait lists might be the best option.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Did anyone from the Giv.care team have anything else they wanted to share? Okay, then we will go ahead and end this call for today. We are going to send out a recording from this webinar in your emails that you'll receive tomorrow. There is also going to be a meeting link that we are going to send out for next week for us to go over all the updates for the new mobile apps with you guys. So if you, over the next few days, are using the apps and you're confused about different things that you're seeing, bring those questions to that call next week and we'll sit down with you. We'll go over all the changes and be able to show you in real time what everything looks like. So come prepared with questions if you have any, and we look forward to helping you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.